One horse. Not gold, not a castle. One horse costs as much as an entire village hands over in a year. Europe, around 1250. Your name is Godfrey, and you are supposed to own 3 of them. And the horse is not even the most expensive line on this bill. Stay to the end of his day, then tell me whether he was richer than you or poorer.
Start with the number we come back to at the end.
For one man to ride into a field fully equipped, roughly 3 villages have to work for him. Not 3 households, 3 villages. And that is not a figure of speech. A lord counted his army in land, not in men. And let us kill the familiar picture straight away. A knight is not a title for bravery. It is a post with a budget. You are required to turn up for service with a horse, weapons, and men at your own expense. Cannot pay for it? You are not a knight, whatever you were born. You wake in a castle, and it is not a palace. Stone walls, smoke from the hearth, a draught, straw on the floor. A room of your own is already a privilege. Breakfast is porridge, bread, and watered wine. The only genuinely expensive thing in this house is standing downstairs in the stable, chewing oats. So down we go. A warhorse, a destrier, is not transport. It is a weapon you have to feed every single day. He is raised for years, trained not to shy at noise or crowds, and he will ride into a wall of men. Honestly, the best trained employee on this whole payroll. An ordinary peasant horse costs less than a cow. This one is 40 times dearer. Right, time to do what we always do. Open the bill. A warhorse runs from 20 to 80 marks of silver, depending on how badly you want to reach old age. Measured in labor, that is the yearly income of dozens of peasant households. Now guess what that comes to in today's money. Go on, say a number out loud. Wrong. Higher. Around $400,000. The price of a flat for an animal that may drop in the first charge. And he eats oats, not grass. Upkeep is its own line, every day, for his whole life. He needs 3 times the oats of a farm horse, and in winter, that oats has to be bought. The horse eats even when there is no war. You still have to get dressed, in metal. Here, the numbers turn indecent. A male hauberk is 30,000 rings, every one riveted by hand. Months of one master's work. Helmet, greaves, arm guards, shield, all separate, all fitted to you. The assembled kit costs about as much as a small herd, and it is not forever. It is mended, relinked, and patched for life. In today's money, the full kit runs to roughly the price of a new car. Whoever closed those rings one by one, I would hire him tomorrow. And notice where the age spends its time. Months of the best craftsmen in the district go not into a plow and not into a mill, but into keeping one man alive in a charge. The sword is almost cheap by comparison. A good blade costs about a pair of oxen, but it is not the main thing either. A knight's real weapon is the horse under him and the weight he brings up to speed. The films swapped everything round. There they duel with swords, and in reality, the charge decided it. One knight is never one man. A knight needs a squire, often more than one. Somebody carries the armor, somebody leads the spare horses, somebody mends and feeds. This is not a retinue for show. Without them, you physically cannot get the iron onto your body or reach the field. One man rides out. Everybody behind him has to be fed and clothed all year. Now the real question of this episode, who pays for all of it? The answer is standing in a field reaping grain. A knight does not buy his kit out of wages. There are no wages. He is given land with people on it, and the people hand over part of the harvest. The armor, the horse, and the squire were paid for by somebody else's work long before he sat in the saddle. A peasant paid in crop, then worked the Lord's own field, then paid again to grind what was left at the Lord's own mill. And here is where the real Middle Ages start. Every century I open, I hope for the same thing. The man in the field keeps what he grew. He does not. Between the man and his grain stands a chain. The reeve, the steward, the lord, and every one of them takes a share. 40 centuries in, and I still fall for it. There is always a man with a list standing between the one who plows and the one who eats. And every link in that chain sincerely believes his share is fair. He works too, after all. He keeps the records.
Have you ever added up how much leaves your pay before you ever see it?
Same thing here, only in sheaves instead of percentages. One difference, the peasant knew exactly where his share went. It was standing in the stable, eating oats.
Midday brings the thing that looks like a game and isn't, the tournament.
It is a job fair, a shop window, and a debt trap all at once. This is where the men who hire you get to see you. This is also where you pawn the last thing you own so you can turn up looking the part. You cannot ride out badly dressed. They price you before you are in the saddle, and the kit decides what you are worth.
The rules are simpler than you think. Win, and you take the loser's horse and armor. Lose, and you hand over your own.
One good day could make a man. One bad one could strip him of everything he was. Some built fortunes on the circuit. Plenty built debts they never cleared.
Ask yourself, would you take a job where the stake is your entire toolkit and there is no insurance?
He did, every season, because there was no other way to be seen. A CV in those years read like this: where you were seen, who you unhorsed, and whose banner you rode under.
Everything on this bill has been waiting for one word:
ransom. In war, you try not to kill a knight, but to take him. Alive, he is worth money. Dead, he is worth nothing. For a noble prisoner, sums were paid that had whole towns mortgaged to raise them. Richard the Lionheart was ransomed by the whole of England, and the tax for it was still remembered a generation later. The figure was around 150,000 marks of silver, roughly 2 or 3 years of the entire crown's income, for one man.
That turns the whole picture over. War for a knight is not only risk,
it is a market. You can come home richer than you left, or you can come home in debt because you bought yourself back. Honor has nothing to do with it. This is arithmetic, and it is written into contracts. Those contracts spell it out: who owns the prisoner, how the ransom splits, what a delay costs, chivalry with a late fee.
Let us kill one more film myth, the most durable one. The knight in armor is supposedly a tortoise. He falls over and cannot get up. Men in armor ran, jumped, and mounted unaided. Try that in your winter coat. A full harness weighs about what a modern soldier's pack weighs, except the load is spread across the whole body. It was the cinema that made him clumsy, because it needed an awkward villain. And a second myth goes with it. Nobody was born a finished knight. A boy was sent into another household at about 7, served as a page, then as a squire, and all those years somebody else's land was feeding him.
And here is what this whole bill comes down to. The Middle Ages were not an age of heroes on horseback. They were an age when one armed man was kept by hundreds of unarmed ones. The shine of the tournament was never the era's generosity. It is a harvest taken off other people's fields and worn by a single rider,
and the people who paid left no name in history.
We know the coats of arms, the mottos, and the pedigrees, and we do not know what to call the men whose grain paid for all of it. The only line in this whole set of books with nobody's name against it.
Let us total the bill. Horse, mail, helmet, weapons, squire, servants, oats, repairs.
Remember the 3 villages from the beginning? There they are, lined up in a single row. 3 villages work for a year so that one man can ride into a field once, properly equipped. And that is before the first blow. The armor is not bought for good. The horse can fall, and a ransom can swallow the lot in a day.
And that is exactly why a knight could not simply walk away.
Everything he had was sunk into iron and into a horse, and iron and horse only made sense in a war. He did not choose this life every morning. He kept it running.
Now the choice, and it is yours to make.
Where he is richer, land, people, a name known 100 miles off, and a table with meat on it every day. Where he is poorer, he did not own himself, did not choose his wars, and everything he had could be lost in one afternoon on a field.
So, richer than you, or poorer, you have neither a village nor a warhorse,
but you have the one thing Godfrey could never buy with any amount of silver: the right not to get into that saddle tomorrow. Subscribe. It is the only line in my bill that nobody takes a cut from. And put your own number in the comments. How many people have to work to keep you at your job? There is already a day on this channel of a man who was paid more for one evening than a soldier earned in a year. See you there.